Alrighty, YouTube, we are talking about the best deck for the Synchro Festival, which is live right now. I told you what the best deck was, which was Megalith for the normal rare festival. I'm back at it again. And for this video, including all videos I post today to celebrate the Synchro Festival event, we're doing a $100 giveaway. All you have to do is like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you want from the Synchro Festival event. I will provide it for you. Let's go. And this is fully what the best deck is. The best deck is, we'll watch the grand finals of this, we'll cast it real quick. They're both playing the best deck. And not only did the best deck win this tournament, it won a previous tournament. So this is for the Synchro Festival. Twice, 2 tournaments in a row. The best Synchro Festival deck is, it's Virtual World. It's Virtual World. It got first place in our previous tournament. It got top 2, both of them. 3 out of the top 4 is Virtual World in this tournament. So let me put this up on the screen real quick. Let's go. Grand finals of the Virtual World Festival. I mean, the Synchro Festival. So why is this so good? It's so good because of Chuchi. We got the Qualoon playing the Chuchi from the deck. Chuchi is going to be targeted by your Virtual World to summon itself onto the field. All you need to do is get a Virtual World in the field, monster or back row, then target it and summon your Virtual World onto the field, and you're good. So by doing that, you want to get at least 2 Virtual World cards banished so that you could use the Chuchi to quick effect pop a face-up card in the field. Quick effect pop. Now, the biggest priority with the deck is going to be to summon a Zulkin. Where is the Zulkin? He's going to make a Zulkin right now. So after making the level 6 Synchro, that is going to be the Charge Warrior, he's going to be summoning the Zulkin. So to summon the Zulkin, you need a level 6 non-tuner and a level 6 tuner. Put them in the graveyard, make a Zulkin. Zulkin is going to be the core card for the Synchro Festival. This is why you're going to win. You then need to set a spell or trap to trigger the Zulkin to summon the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. This will negate any monster effect. This is nuts. This is going to be a really big monster throughout the event. Speedroids are going to summon it, Synchrons are going to summon it, and we're going to summon it with the Zulkin. Now, the Zulkin is nuts because on the next turn, we're going to do it again. We're going to summon another monster from the extra deck because every turn we set a card, we'll summon. Well, just deal with the Zulkin, right? Well, it's not easy to deal with this because when we have another Synchro monster on the field, the Zulkin cannot be targeted by card effects nor attacks. So we potentially have a monster negate with the Crystal Wing Synchro. We have pop any face-up card with the Chuchi, and to counter Virtual Worlds, when they target the card with the Virtual World in the hand, activate Chuchi to pop that card that's being targeted, and then the card effect in the hand no longer works. But there's a big problem here, and I will point that out. First, go to Pod D. All right, we banish in 10, draw 2, set and passing. So this looks like a very scary field, and it is. Chuchi, negate, and we don't know about the incoming Ash Blossom, but we look at the extra deck, that I should say the banish pile, these cards are face down. The Chuchi can only return 2 face-up banished cards back into the deck. So if we look, only the Qinglong is banished, so the Chuchi is not activatable. We don't actually have a Chuchi, but maybe Merlin could think that the Chuchi is activatable, but it's not. Now, what could have prevented this situation from happening? What you could do is, if you didn't have the Chuchi in your hand, you could send the Chuchi from the deck to the graveyard, then banish it to change the level of a monster on the field if you could afford to do so. You also have the other great card that you could send to the graveyard to banish, which will be the Virtual World Zhongwu. Zhongwu could banish itself from the graveyard to summon a Virtual World from the graveyard. It's a really good card to help get banishing, and then you would have an activatable Chuchi. Now let's focus. It's very important you learn this deck if you want to do well in the Synchro Festival. All right, now, not only a good turn 1, but the deck also has a good turn 2. So what's going to be the good turn 2? And by the way, he searched for a Lulu in the end phase from the graveyard. He's got an amazing follow-up. So we need to establish our Virtual World in the field to then activate our Virtual Worlds in the hand. GG gets negated, hard once return, negate, okay? Now let's try something else. Let's pot a D. Pot a D, generally you don't want to pot a D if there's a chance to banish 2 of your Chuchis because then you lose a big part of your deck. But we already have a Chuchi in the hand, so it's okay. Lay low. And the Crystal Wing negates. Double negate. Goodbye GG, goodbye Laylo. Laylo's going to go to the graveyard now when being destroyed. And he should have another pop with the Virtual World Chuchi if he had 2 banished, but he doesn't. So 2 disruptions. Playing through 2 disruptions, that's nuts. We're going to emergency teleport summon a monster from the deck. We're going to summon a level 3 tuner. We're going to Shokan into a Juju. Now, Juju could banish 2 cards in the graveyard to send a card in the field to the grave. Get sended. We're going to send the Crystal Wing Synchro so that now we can attack into the Zulkin. Very good, because the Zulkin is a big problem next turn, but the Chuchi is also a big problem. There's two big problems. That's why this deck is so good. Goodbye, Zulkin. And we got our own Chuchi. Our own Chuchi is activatable. We have 2 cards banished that could be sent back to the deck to get poppin'. Harpy Feather Duster, which is going to be very good to use against decks like True Draco. They're going to be everywhere. Call with the Grave, we're going to banish a card for the graveyard. And what's important to note that whatever we banish, we also can't use that card next turn. So by banishing the opponent's Lalo, we can't use Lalo either. And the Chuchi pop in the face of Chuchi, amazing. Beautiful. Sugoi. Get that Chuchi out of here. Return 2 banished cards back in the deck. Goodbye to the Chuchi. Goodbye to the back row. Xinglong banished to search for a monster, then discard a monster. Now, this, I would say, is a mistake. He searched for Nyan and then discarded Nyan, which you want Nyan in the graveyard, right? But he already had a Nyan in the grave. So Nyan was already in the grave, and he searched Nyan to discard Nyan. With the Xinglong, I think he should have discarded the Ash Blossom or the Chuchi. But, I mean, keeping Chuchi for the follow-up, that's very good. So not discarding Ash Blossom, that was a mistake, I'd say. And that's going to trigger the Nyan to summon onto the field, which he already had another one. The problem is we have a tuner into a tuner, and we're summoning a tuner. Now, Lulu cannot search for a monster if you're targeting a monster to summon Lulu. So how do we get a non-tuner here? We can't exceed. This is the Synchro Festival. Holy moly. So we have a commentary from the player himself, Timaeus. I normal summon Ash, by the way, because I realized he had Ash, and mine will not resolve when I called by the grave his. Okay. But Timaeus, why not discard your Ash and normal summon Nyan, right? You normal summon Nyan, and then that will trigger the other Nyan from your graveyard. You'd have a non-tuner Nyan, tuner Nyan on the fields, and then the Lulu follow-up, right? So you tell me if I'm correctly thinking this through. We're sending a Zongbu from the graveyard, from the deck to the graveyard that could banish itself to then summon a monster from the grave. That's exactly what we're doing right now, summoning GG, our non-tuner. The non-tuner is here. Very good. We're going to, but you know what? Maybe that was intended because the Quarion requires 2 tuna. 2 tuna and a non-tuna. So having the non-tuner, is that really a big deal that his Ash was a tuner instead of summoning the non-tuner? Well, he's able to make a Quarion. Quarion banished 3 monsters, up to 3 on the field and or in the graveyard. Now, the Juju is indestructible if you have 2 monsters in the graveyard with different names, same type, same attribute. Get banishing. Banish. Now, normally the deck does not have room for Quarion, but because it's the Synchro Festival, we ain't playing Exceeds. We got room for the Quarion, mate. Nuts. Banishing from the grave. Nyan, when banished, return a card back into the deck. Not a big deal. Smack him for 4,600. And then we have the follow-up Chuchi, which is going to be activatable. So, I mean, this is it. The Chuchi control. That's why this deck is so good. Control the duel with Chuchi. Oh, we're screwed. Chuchi can't pop face downs. And we're going to Quing Long, search our deck. I mean, the follow-up of this deck is insane. If you can't win in a single turn, their follow-up with the Quing Longs in the graveyard, they're going to be searching for whatever they want. This deck is so incredibly resilient. The follow-up, the plays, playing through multiple negates, setting up a really good turn 1. Now, the turn 1's not as good as something like a Stardust Dragon deck, but a Stardust Dragon deck, they fall over much easier. Vermilion Dragon Mech, popping a card on the field, and just like that, lethal damage. Timaeus is your champion, and let me show you the decks of the best way to play in the Synchro event. So here we go, Synchro Festival, DMC Weekly. J Church got first place of our first event, so I will show you other decks. It's not just the best deck, but best decks of the Synchro Festival. So what we have here, J Church, looking good. These are all the Synchros. The Zulkin will be summoning a level 7 or level 8 dragon-type Synchro from your extra deck. So whatever dragons you want, you got a Dragite. Oh, Dragite's not a dragon. It looks like a dragon, but it's not. It could summon the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, can summon the Stardust Spark Dragon, So there you go. Good job, Jay Church. First place at the first event. So copy something like this. Ooh, Y3 Blue. Second place with a Synchron deck. This is a very good build of Synchrons. Make sure to copy this. It's less powerful than a Stardust deck that will summon the Shooting Majestic Star, but it's more consistent. So you lose power for more consistency, and you might be a better deck overall. You tell me. Y3 Blue, good job. Seeker, top 4 with an Atlantean. Holy moly, this deck is nuts. What you do is you fill up your graveyard with 5 water monsters, and then the Elemental Lord rips 2 cards of the opponent's hand. So let me know if you possibly want me to showcase gameplay in another video on how this deck works, because Seeker was nuts. Good job, Seeker, with this. We're not editing anything out. And top 4, we got Slide. Slide with Ancient Warriors. Here's Merlin's second place deck of the latest tournament we ran. Copy this. Looks good. It's a little bit different. 2 Crystal Wing Synchros. The Sigma. I like Sigma. It's unaffected by other card effects. Holy moly. Timaeus' deck. Whoa, the Mad Lad is playing a Fairy Tale Snow. Snow in the deck. Very cool. We got the Zulkin below all these. Make sure you play Zulkin. If you're going to copy the deck, I'll just zoom this out so you get it fully. So you have a ton of virtual decks to copy. Synchro event has already been solved for you. You're welcome. Fools.